This is Amy Cruz with Valle de Guadalupe, Baja's YouTube channel. Today we are at our fourth stop on our incredible wine tour here in Valle de Guadalupe. Our fourth stop is at Vinícola Dubacano. It's a family-owned winery whose grapes are grown just south here in Baja, and we are here in their Valle de Guadalupe tasting room. We have the honor of having Ivan as our host for today's wine tasting. It is actually his family winery, and he explains some very unique wine knowledge in this episode. We get to taste many different blends, and I promise you will learn something about wine today.
Hello, welcome. So we're Dubacano. Dubacano is distributors of grapes of Baja. So what we do is we grow grapes in San Vicente, which is one of the main valleys south of Ensenada. Grow grapes there. We've been doing that since '87. A lot of the grapes we sell to other wineries here in Valle, but we keep about 15 to 20% of the grapes for ourselves, where we make all these wines. We have a big variety of wines, but we make small batches of them. So today we're going to be doing 5 different wines, a white, a rosé, and 3 reds, and basically take you through the difference in wines and like a story of how we've grown in the past 30 years since we started in '87. So we'll start with the white and then rosé. Okay, sounds good. One of the things about us is we do everything. We grow the grapes, we make the wine, and we also present it. So everything we do is through lots and lots of years of work. And the first one we're going to be doing is a Chardonnay. This is what we call a stainless steel Chardonnay. This just means that we get the grapes, we crush them, we put them in a stainless steel tank, and that's where we let all the magic happen. We change it from basically juice to wine, and then we're going to bottle it. So it's one of the quicker wines to make, not necessarily easier, but it's a wine that it's very refreshing, very easy to drink. It's going to smell like pineapple, green apple, honey, just a nice, refreshing. That's what we call summer wines.
Good.
Wines
wow, that's super refreshing.
Yeah, wines that you can just drink by themselves.
I don't even normally like Chardonnay, and that's really good.
Yeah, it's just such easy to drink.
Wow.
Wine should not be complicated. You know, sometimes we overthink it. Oh, you know, I don't know anything about wine. Why should I drink it? Well, most people don't even know about tequila, and you know, they still drink it. So wine shouldn't be complicated. Wine should be something that you just want to try, enjoy it, whether it's white, rosé, red, sweet, whatever. As long as you enjoy it, that's good. That's all you need to know.
Does white wine have to be always stored cold? Does it go bad if it's not stored cold?
So wine does not have to be stored cold necessarily. You don't necessarily need like a wine fridge, like in our case. Recommendations: no direct sunlight. Have it somewhere that it's just normal temperature. At your house, the best place would be your bedroom or like a closet. Worst places, garage and kitchen. Most people store them in the kitchen. That's probably the worst place to put them, because when you cook, it gets hot. You know, that's where a lot of people concentrate. So you don't necessarily have to keep it in the fridge, just at a normal, cool place. That's if it's not open. Once it's open, definitely put it in the fridge. But at least for us, if you open a bottle, like at home, you should finish it. That's, you know, no point in storing it, just finish it.
How do you decide when to put a nice, like, artsy label on versus just a standard text label?
So wine, just like any business, it goes through phases. Wine or a lot of it tends to be traditional. So we usually think of more like elegant, sober labels. But as the industry has gotten younger, you're looking for that, not just a classic label, but something that catches your eye. So what's inside doesn't make it worse or better, but our newer wines, which is usually for people that are barely starting to get into the wine world, whether you're 21 or you're 60, you're still new if you've never really drank wine before. And usually this is the type of label that you're attracted to. So it's a way to kind of get you interested in the wine, and afterwards it's just tasting it
and remember the wine.
Yeah, and remember the wine. Actually, that's why some of our labels have very distinctive colors, or one color dominates the label, because that way you're like, oh, I don't remember, but it was green, or it was blue, it was red. Oh, well,
that's fine.
There's only one red one. There you go. You know, so it makes it a lot easier for people to remember it. The way you get the color in the wine, very simple. You just let the skin and the juice interact for a long time. So for red wines, it's usually about 15 days, where the skin and the juice are interacting and you're getting some color out of it. How do you get a rosé? Well, you just leave that amount of time be very short. Instead of 15 days, it's about, for this one in particular, about 4 hours. So you're basically just blushing, and that's how you get this really nice rosé light color. And this one's gonna smell like strawberry, watermelon, grapefruit. Once again, a very easy to drink summer wine.
White wine smells better than red wine. White wine in general has like a more better smell than red wine.
Yeah, it's definitely
Like
fruitier,
yeah.
more crisp. And actually, good thing you said that, because you made the perfect incision of what I was gonna do. So the thing about wines is, you know, we're up here telling you, oh, it smells like this and that, and you know, sometimes it sounds like we're making it up. And it's not that we make it up, because I mean, wine, we only use grapes. We don't use any of the stuff we say of aromas to make wine. So how do we get those aromas in the wine? We don't get them in. They're basically byproducts. When you're making the wine, during the fermentation process, byproducts are created. Well, those byproducts have aromas. And even though we may say, oh, it smells like strawberry, there's no strawberry in there. There's just something very similar to strawberry, and that's what we detect. So it's a memory thing. Same thing with oak. When we put the wine in the oak, it creates what we call phenols. Those are just aroma molecules. And that's what gives you like the vanilla aromas or the chocolate or the coffee aromas. And there's 3 types of aromas: primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary is everything that you get from the vineyard. So Cabernets from Napa are gonna taste different than Cabernets from here, because even though they're both Cabernets, the soil, the weather, the climate, everything is different. So that creates different characteristics on the grape. Secondary are the fermentation. So exactly what you said, whites smell different or better than red wines. Well, it's not necessarily that they're better, but the aromas that you get from the stainless steel tend to be more powerful, very easy to detect. That's what we call secondary aromas. And tertiary aromas are what we get from the oak. Those are the aromas that sometimes are the hardest to detect, but when you age a wine, you know, when people say, oh, this wine's like 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, usually those wines are wines that have been gone through oak, because those are, even though they're the weakest aromas, at least at the beginning, they're the longest lasting aromas. So some of these very nice fruity aromas, they're present right now, but if you were to leave this wine 5 years, they dilute over time. But the wines that have oak, those aromas become not necessarily stronger, but they're the ones that you'll be easy to detect over time.
That makes sense.
So now there's only 2 ways to really get good at tasting wines or smelling. It's either drink a lot, but you can't be drinking all the time because it's not good. So there's another way, it's to practice. So we're gonna do a little activity just to see how good you guys are with aromas. This is just for fun. It just gives you a little bit of an idea of the different aromas in wine. So let's see. I'm gonna give you 2 aromas. It could either be a fruit, a spice, or a flower. They don't repeat. So if you think there's a fruit and you think there's a fruit, you're wrong. Or at least one of them, because they don't repeat, they have to be different. They're very common stuff that you can find in the supermarket year-round. Please don't pour it on yourself. Just
Fruit, spice, or flower?
Fruit, spice, or flower.
Right.
Now, you have to say what fruit it is or what spice.
Oh.
Now, you don't have to say, oh, this is Granny Smith apple. You can just say apple, you know.
All right.
That's good enough.
All right.
These are common, you know. We'll see.
Fun. Have you done this before? Yeah. I was like, you're gonna have an advantage.
Let's see, you guys. So now, it's good to like think it out sometimes because it's a memory thing. So sometimes it'll remind you of like.
I love the smell, but I don't know what it is.
It'll just remind you of stuff. Sometimes it's just like working it out.
Lime?
Yeah. So that's lemon or lime.
Lime.
And that was, yeah. So I don't know if you want to smell it just to see.
Yeah, so.
Now, I'm gonna give you another ones, but see if both of you guys smell it before. See if you guys get it.
Yeah. Cool. These are really cool.
So I'll give you this one, smell it, and after you smell this, oh, no. Smell it, after you smell it, let her smell it. That way we see you guys got him.
Oh. This one too.
Now this one doesn't have to be one of the 3 categories. This is different, but it smells like something very common. Well, at least to me. Common as in familiar. That's a better word.
Oh, I'm not sure I know it. I like it though. I'm gonna say, I know what it started with C? No?
No.
What is it? You got?
It's
I was gonna say cherry vanilla.
No, it is sweet though. It is sweet.
Root
Yeah,
beer.
smell
It's
it.
like root beer.
It does. It is hazelnut.
It's hazelnut? Then why'd you
Smell
say
it
no?
again. See what it. That's
Oh, hazelnut, for sure, now, yeah.
It smells like
yeah.
Nutella.
Oh, Nutella, hazelnut, good call.
The thing with aromas is, I mean, here it's only one aroma, but usually in wine it's like set of aromas. Like, there's no way I can tell you this only has strawberry aroma. Mm-hmm. To me it smells like strawberry. To you it might smell like raspberries, blueberries. There's categories because it's not like we're making a certain aroma to go in there. It's part of the process. So that's what makes these wines, whites and rosés, more fruity, more crisp, and that applies to all wines in the world, not just these wines. So for the next part, we're gonna be doing 2 wines. The reason we're gonna be doing 2 different wines, it's to compare them a little bit. Because like I said, we hear a lot of stuff about wine. Oh, this wine's really old, this wine is this and that. But we don't really know what that means unless you have some context, okay? So wine, first of all, when we age it, like when we think that you age it in oak barrels, let's usually give it more flavor, give it structure, balance it out. Not all wines go through oak barrels. And also, not all wines necessarily are better or worse than the newer wines. They're just gonna be different. But there are changes. As a wine ages, the color changes, okay? It goes from what's normally a really dark, which what we associate with wine, like this one that I'm gonna be pouring over here, this is a Montepulciano. This is a young wine, this is a 2018, or at least younger than this one. And if we look at it, we see this nice, deep purple color. This indicates that a younger wine is gonna be more fruit forward, very easy to drink. Over here, we're gonna have a Tempranillo. Tempranillo comes from the word temprano, which means early. It's because this grape blossoms earlier than other red grapes and we pick it earlier. It's a little bit darker today, but if we look at this one a little more up close and we tilt it, we're gonna see more of an orange hue. That's because this one has been aged. This is a 2010. So while that one tastes purple, this one has a lighter color. Actually, if you have your flashlight on your phone, you'll be able to see the difference easier by comparing them one to the other. Yeah. You see how it's a much lighter color and it has more of an orange hue versus the purple.
See? Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's what happens when wine is aged. So even if you were doing a blind tasting, they didn't tell you anything about wine. If they give you a wine that's darker color and one that's lighter, more orange, you can always tell which is gonna be older.
That's so cool.
Just by the aroma. Just by the color. Okay, you can tell a wine's age by that.
We saw that it was from purpley pinks to reds to oranges.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And that tells you a lot of info. Without somebody even telling you about the wine, you can make a lot of deductions about it by just knowing like the basics of it. So Tempranillo, it's fruity but more spicy aromas, more drier fruit, while the Montepulciano it's more of fruit forward, jammy textures.
Wow,
aromas.
that is so good.
So both very different.
I love old wine because it's supposed to be like, it is better, right?
Well, better is, it's not necessarily better or worse. Some people like this type of wine, some people like this one more. It kind of just depends. So everything we say or everything in a wine bottle, there's a reason behind it. And And now you'll know. Now you'll see the difference. So if somebody gives you a wine that's supposed to be, I don't know, 20 years old, and it looks
like difference.
This dark color, they're probably bluffing. You know,
wow.
It's probably not true.
So when it says 2010 on it, that's the year it was originally put into the oak barrel?
No, and that was actually a very good question. When you see a year in the bottle, this says 2020, this one says 2010. That means when the grape was harvested, so when it was physically picked. So if it says 2020, it means 2010 in this case. That means those grapes were picked, at least in our case, in August or September of that of 2010.
But we don't know how long it stayed in a barrel or anything.
No, from that year it won't tell you anything. That's only either the label or somebody that tells you that wine. But
what's the longest you keep your wine in a barrel?
The longest we keep it is we have some wines for up to 36 months, but most of our wines are between 6 and 12 months.
Okay, so that means this has been in a bottle.
This one has been in the bottle. This one was 12 months in oak. So 2010, 12 months of oak. It got bottled in 2011. So it's been in the bottle for 10 years. So for the last wine, we're gonna be doing Nebbiolo. So you probably already know a little bit about Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is an Italian grape, northwestern Italy. And it's a grape that has adapted very well to this area. It basically only grows in Italy and here in Mexico. So it's very, very unique. It's a little bit different. And right now Nebbiolo, at least in Valle de Guadalupe, Baja, what Cabernet is to Napa. It's an emblematic grape, okay? Because it gives you nice, robust wines, very premium type wines. We're gonna have 2 wines here. Same thing as the last one, where we have different ages, but in this case, they're both the same variety. We have a 2019 Nebbiolo, which got a gold medal from Baja, which is a Spanish contest. And then we have a 2014 Nebbiolo, which got a grand gold medal, okay? So we're gonna notice the same thing as in the first wine. The 2019, we're gonna have this nice, deep purple color. While in the 2014, we're gonna have this more of an orange hue. See,
it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this one's, and this is the same grape. They're just picked different years in the process. The ages are different, 2014 to 2019.
Which one should we try first?
We're gonna try the small glass first.
Okay.
So the small glass, we're gonna have more fruit forward, but when you taste it, this one's gonna be what we call a little bit more astringent. So we have different types of textures. We have astringent and acidity. Astringency is when it kind of dries out your mouth, and astringency dries out your mouth, acidity makes you salivate. This one's gonna be more of a, you have to kind of bite it, chewy type wine, so you have a lot of body, but it's on the younger side. So this is a wine that you can age for a couple of years. If you move over to the 2014, this is gonna be a very smooth wine, okay? When you drink, it's gonna feel like velvety, creamy. The textures are different because that's what happens to wine as it ages, not just in the barrel, but in the glass bottle. The whole texture is gonna change. Some people prefer the younger, more powerful, punchy wines. Some people prefer these more smooth, silky type textures. It's all about a balance and finding what you mostly enjoy.
Is there a year where the grapes are just like way better than any other year? So you always want to look for like that year?
Well, yes and no. So 2014 was a great year. That doesn't mean 2014 was a great year for France, because we all have different climates. But there are definitely some years that the grapes are amazing. It's just great. And other years where it's, you kind of do what you have to do with whatever you have.
Based on weather?
Yeah, based on weather.
So what were the best years for weather in Mexico for the last 20 years?
2014 was a great year. 2020, 2021, they were awesome years. The thing is, this is not a factory. The agriculture, we are subject to whatever happens. Some years we have a lot of heat, some years we don't have enough heat, some years we have rain, so we have to treat the plant according to whatever weather we're having. Good years is you can go back through the year and it's like a steady climb. You go from a cold winter, perfectly a very cold winter, it gets warmer in the spring and it gets hot in the summer. If you have that, rise in temperature that's even, it's a good year. And the grapes are gonna be fine. Otherwise, it's like you know, if it's 100 degrees outside and you go inside like a restaurant, the AC is blasting and you go out again and you come back, you know, your body feels it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the plant. If you're changing the temperature, you know, it affects it. So you want steady temperature changes. One of the other differences, this one has more American oak and this has more French oak. American oak tends to be more flavorful, but also makes the wines more astringent.
Interesting.
French, it's a little bit less flavor, but more elegant. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, this is very silky, like you said.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Nebbiolo, out of the wines we tasted today, Nebbiolo is my favorite overall wine. Nevertheless, the Chardonnay, it's an everyday wine, as long as it's not too
The first one we had?
Yeah, the first one.
As long as it's not too wet?
Too cold, like if it's freezing outside, you know,
Not in the snow.
you don't want to drink a cold wine. But in general, like for summers when we're in the 80, 90, 100 degrees, it's a
That was
perfect
honestly
wine.
one of the best Chardonnays I had. A lot of the Chardonnays I've had before are very like bitter.
Yeah, Chardonnay tends to be a bitter grape.
Yeah.
This one's just very fruity.
Yeah, cool.
So that was our tasting. Hope you guys enjoyed them.
Thank you.